Bonjour class et bienvenue à la leçon pour aujourd'hui. So today's lesson is going to be a grammar-based lesson just to focus in on something that you've been seeing regularly. And so today we're just going to kind of go in depth a little bit more. And this grammar topic for today is called definite articles. Now you might not have any idea what a definite article is, but that is the technical grammatical term. And so we're going to look at what that is today. So you're going to be taking notes. You can do this either online if you have a grammar folder in your Google Drive or something for French, or even better might be to have it on paper in your French notebook. I don't really mind, but what is important is that you keep organized. Last week you took notes on ER verbs for grammar, and today you're doing definite articles. So whatever you do, just make sure that you are organized with it. You keep them for your own records so that you can review it when it comes time to like practice and assess and that kind of thing. And we are going to finish today with a short practice on Power School. There'll be another little quiz on Power School for you to do based on the video today. So if you follow the video, you should do really well with the quiz, with the practice. Okay, so definite articles are le, la, les, and L apostrophe. So let's unpack this grammar point we've been seeing. So right here, we've got some sentences. I'm going to read them to you and let's see. Okay, Rose. Okay, so j'adore le chocolat. Nous détestons les devoirs. Elle préfère la glace à la vanille. Okay, so with these three sentences, I'm going to throw out a couple of questions to you. Firstly, what patterns do you see in the language? And secondly, what does it mean? So I've actually kind of identified the patterns for you today on this one. So I've underlined le, les, et la. These are three of our definite articles. So I want you to just take a quick minute or quick second and think to yourself, what does it mean? What does le, la, les mean? What is the pattern between them? Just have a little think to yourself. If you were in class, you'd talk to a friend. So if you were with a friend, you can talk to them. Okay. So let's have a look. And we'll take it down a little bit further with this next part of the video. So you can write this down as you're listening to me. A definite article is used to say the. So if that's what you thought before, you would be right. So for example, that one that we had before, la glace, is the ice cream. Actually, sometimes in French, they have the le, la there where we wouldn't in English. And so if I just quickly flip back to this, j'adore le chocolat. In English, we wouldn't say I love the chocolate. We would just say I love chocolate. But in French, you have to have this definite article, le chocolat. So that's something which is pretty important. So although it does mean the, sometimes we don't literally translate into French. So la glace is the ice cream, or just ice cream in general. In French, there are actually 4 different words that mean the. So le, la, les, and L apostrophe all mean the. Each word is different depending on the gender and number of the noun. So this is going to be always important. It's great to be learning this right at the beginning of French because it's going to affect everything all the time, the rest of this year, next year, the following year, for always. Words in French are affected. They may or may not change in sound and in spelling depending on the gender. So if the word, if the object, the person, the noun itself is masculine, or if it's feminine, that is the gender. And remember, in French, everything has a gender. So not just people. It's very obvious if it's a person. But it's less obvious, for example, ice cream. How do you know if ice cream is masculine or feminine? So in this example, or not just example, but ice cream is feminine, it's not masculine. So, and if you're a Spanish speaker or you've studied Spanish, then you'll be familiar with this concept, or maybe German, or there's lots of languages where objects, nouns have a gender. And sometimes that will help you because there are some similarities between Spanish and French. But every now and then, sometimes the gender of the word is different. And we have conversations all the time with the language teachers. And in German, it's often flipped. So that's what that means. If you can identify the gender of it, and you are not going to just inherently know the gender, especially as you're learning French and you're the age of 14 or above learning this, you've had 14 years of not knowing, whereas like little kids growing up, they're just hearing it and seeing it all the time. So the only way that you're going to know is by paying attention in class, copying down. Every time we write la glace, copy down la glace. Never write le glace or spell it wrong, because then it'll go wrong in your head. So you're always hearing it right, spelling it right, reading it right, saying it right. It'll go in and you'll just memorize it internally. If it's like a brand new word, then when you write down words, always write down the le or the la with it. So you're learning as you go whether it's masculine. And if you don't ever see that, or it's kind of unclear, then we can check in a dictionary. And in a dictionary afterwards, they'll have in parentheses whether it's masculine or feminine. Okay. All right. I'm not expecting you to just know it in your brain. How would you know unless you see it? So you're just going to learn over time, and it will just become second nature to you over time. And the gender. A number is clearer. Number of the objects is clear. So the ice cream, this is one ice cream, so it's la glace. But if we're talking about ice creams, that's plural. So number is whether you have one or more. So we would say if it's singular or plural, that's what number means. Do you have one or more of the objects? And that also affects the word the. Okay, so I say this is a small grammar point, but it's actually a huge grammar point, because the concepts here, right here in French, is challenging as English learners, as speakers of English. It is challenging the concept that the word the can have 4 different words depending on if it's masculine, feminine, if it's singular, if it's plural. Okay, so it seems like mind-blowing right now, but as you go through, you'll just become more and more familiar with the regular words. That's why we're repeating a lot of the same things, a lot of the same objects, same people, same places, that kind of thing, so that you're getting more and more familiar, and you'll nail that before I start introducing new things. All right, so let's have a little look. You can pause the video at any time to take notes, because I'm just going to keep moving through, and you take this at your own pace. So I just talked about how you know the gender, so we'll move on from that one. So this table is going to be super useful for you to copy down. So you can pause the video and listen to me, or listen to me, then pause the video and copy. But this is what it looks like. So I talked about the gender right here. This is the gender. So masculine will look like this in the dictionary, and feminine will look like this. And so if your object, the thing you're talking about, is masculine, it's going to be le, and if it's feminine, like ice cream, it's going to be la. Le et la. That's if it's singular. So this is our number right here. So if it's just one object, then it's le or la. If it's plural, so this is more. If you don't know what plural means, or you're not sure, more than one, then it's always le. For masculine and feminine, so simpler, le. We don't pronounce it with the S on the end. Lay. It's lay. And then in this last box over here, this is masculine or feminine words that begin with a vowel. So French are very sensitive to the sounds and the vowel and the sounds of the words as it runs into the other. So no matter if the gender is masculine or feminine of the object, if it begins with a vowel, then it begins with L apostrophe. And so we'll look at that. We're going to have lots of examples on the board in a moment. So we're going to look at what that means, what ones that we know that have a vowel. If it's plural, it's always going to be lay. So plural is kind of nice because it's lay, lay, lay. You just have to think. And most of the time, most words in French, if it's going to be plural, most of the time it's going to have an S on the end. Okay, so the identifying of plural nouns is easier. Okay, so pause the video if you haven't already, copy that down as you see it, and then I'll continue. Okay, so for this last part, before we move on to our practice, we're going to just come up with a list of some of the articles that we've already seen. So I want you to copy this table, le, la, elle apostrophe, les, and you've got your previous table where you know which nouns should go in there, which objects or things we've talked about should go in there. So I want you to go ahead and copy that, pause the video, copy that, and fill it with as much as you can initially, okay, without my help. And then when you unpause the video, I'm going to fill it with some of the things that I think you know already, or that I know you know. Okay, so I'm going to type in here so that my writing is like clearer. And you can just tell me to the screen some of the words that you already know that are le, so singular masculine. So first one for me would be le garçon. Garçon, le garçon is a boy. And I would just keep the French in there, especially if you already know, if you know what the word is, then just keep the French. You don't need to put boy unless you really don't know that le garçon is boy. Le lycée. Lycée. Lycée is high school. So if you didn't know that, you could put that right next to it. Le lycée. From our example at the beginning, we have le chocolat. I'm trying to think of other words that you already know. All right, I'll come back to le in case I can think of any more. La, we have la glace. We also had in that first example vanille, la vanille, vanilla, vanille. Fille. So if we have le garçon in the first column, la fille would go in the second column. La. Are you trying to think of things that you already know? Okay, well, we've got 3 to start with. L apostrophe. Now, this one's a little bit more of a challenge. There are some words, you just need an example of whatever has a vowel sound in front of it. So, for example, école does, école starts with an E, accent aigu. And so, which means school. So that one, for a start, stands out at me. We may have already learned, but not very much, the word l'ordinateur. Ordinateur is computer, so l'ordinateur. Okay. The other, so with lay, actually any of these, if they became plural, would be lay. So we could have les filles with an S, les garçons with a C. Oh, I don't know where my special characters went. Here it is. So any of those, if you add an S on, it becomes plural. Some of the things which are already plural are les devoirs. Les devoirs. Which, in case you forgot, is homework. We did yesterday les vacances. So this one's interesting because in English, vacation is singular, but in French, it's plural, so les vacances. Oh, I remember another one for étudiant. Étudiant. Étudiant is also one that starts with that, so student. Okay, so let's, and I know you may have come up with more, and if you know that they go there, then by all means, let's have a little look ahead. Oh, yeah, this one as well. La télévision, je vais regarder la télévision. You might have had that one in there as well, because we use that one quite a bit as well, la télévision. Oh, I almost forgot le café. We did this one yesterday. Le café. J'aime boire le café. J'aime le café. Okay, so we've got, I think, 3 or 4 in each column. So that's good. Okay, so you can go ahead, pause the video and copy those ones down if you don't already. If you have those plus others, then wonderful. As we go through the rest of the unit or the rest of the week or whatever, and you come across more, you can keep adding them to this table. Like make your table open-ended, don't kind of close it off so that you can keep going. And that way you can come and refer back to this. So when you're writing it out, you're not putting le fille, you're putting la fille, le garçon. La télévision. You're putting the right article, the right definite article next to it. Okay, so once you're done, come back and we're gonna just wrap up with a little practice. So on Power School, there's a multiple choice quiz on these. So your first 5 are multiple choice based on these sentences. And then the last 5 are more about like the grammar of it. So use the video, use your notes, you can go back over it, you get a couple of tries on it, so do your best to really kind of nail down and show me what you've learned today. Okay, so I'm going to just read these real quickly to you and then the video is going to be over and you continue the quiz, the practice quiz, I guess, on Power School. So, numéro 1 is Amina adore l'anglais ou le anglais. So think about this, starts with a vowel. J'aime la glace ou les glaces. Nous aimons la vacances ou les vacances. So think about, this has an S on the end. Think about whether it's singular or plural. Numéro 4. Xavier n'aime pas le lycée ou la lycée. Et numéro 5, vous détestez regarder le télé ou la télé. Okay, so again, go back. We've done some of these already in the video. And answer that plus, you have question 6 à 10. 6 to 10. Okay, merci beaucoup classe. Au revoir. À la prochaine.